Okay, this is going to be a slightly different post, but still kind of relevant to our business. So I'm driving south from Farmington to Albuquerque, which is kind of more southeast. On my way up a few days ago, we had it was really cold, really windy. I actually had to stop and charge the car at an RV park for about 40 minutes. Just to give myself enough wiggle room to make sure I got all the way to Farmington. There are no electric car chargers between Albuquerque and Farmington, and in Farmington itself, there's no large charging stations. The fastest charger in Farmington is 50 kilowatts, which, if you know you're into electric cars at all, you know is not very much. The bigger charging stations are 125, 150, 350. I think they're trying to push those up even higher now with the big trucks coming out. And so I'm confused, honestly, because as I was driving up 2 days ago, it was colder. It was about 10 degrees colder. I had a headwind basically most of the way, and it was a pretty good headwind. It was pretty gusty. And my miles per kilowatt hour in our 2023 Volkswagen ID.4s was 2.4. It dropped like a rock as I was driving north. And I was sitting here watching it, wondering why it was dropping so fast. Because I'd never seen it do that before. The cars perform really well. I'm really glad we got these. We have two of them. And because their stated range on the sticker is 274. And that was giving us not even 170 something on a full 100% charge. Because I charged to 100% before I left the other day and did the same thing today in Farmington. And so here are my numbers. So on the way up, I ended up averaging 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour. And the car average is probably around 3.1 or so when we drive it long term. Now, today, I am at 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. I've already crossed the halfway point, and I still have 55% battery. I'm going to end up at the charging station in Albuquerque that I left the other day with probably 50 to 60 miles easily if this miles per kilowatt hour rating maintains. Now, I have the heater off. I had the heater off before. It's kind of cold, but not that bad. I don't mind the cold. It's 46 degrees right now as it shows on the car. On the way up, it was 34, mid-30s. It dropped down to 32 a couple times, and we had wind on the nose. Today, we do not have much wind on the nose. I'm not sure if we have much wind at all. It's pretty calm. But I don't know. I've never tested it like this. I've never gone mid 30 degrees, wind on the nose. The elevation change is up a little bit, but it's a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down, which is typical for New Mexico. So I don't think the elevation change should have much effect to it, but I'm not sure if 1.3 miles per kilowatt hour is going to get lost just with wind on the nose and temperature. My big difference today is I'm driving 60 instead of 70. I'm going 10 miles under the speed limit just to see how this does. Now I don't know if I'll get lucky enough to be able to test this again, but if I need to go to Farmington again and it's mid-30s and windy, I'm going to try just changing the one thing, going 60, and see how much of a difference that makes. I don't know if anyone has tested these Volkswagens like this. I do know that the range goes down a lot in the cold, but and 40 degrees is kind of what people typically say about the minimum temperature before you really start to lose some battery range. But I would just be really shocked if it's 1.3 miles per kilowatt hour. That's a lot. And because it is still kind of cold, it's 46, and it hasn't been 46 the whole time. It was high 30s when I left Farmington, so it's not like it's been nicer all day. It's only gotten above 40 in the last probably 45 minutes to an hour. So I wanted to put this out there because it's very interesting for me, because part of the reason that we leased these vehicles was to really put them through their paces for our business. You know, can you reliably, you know, have a business that relies on vehicles using these electric cars? We've put so many miles on them, and they're holding up way better than I thought they would. We had one that had to go in the shop. It had a battery issue where it blew a fuse while it was charging. So it was out of commission for a month and a half, 2 months. It took them a while to diagnose it because they'd never seen it before. But other than that, they've performed phenomenally. We don't see any battery loss so far. We drive them pretty economically. We do use the heaters when we have to. We use the air conditioners because we're hauling food and produce in here sometimes. So in the summer when it's 100 degrees, we're cranking the ACs. And in the winter, we don't really have to keep things very warm, the people mostly. And so we still see 300 miles or more on a charge on nice days when it's not cold. Now that it's colder, you get less because we're running the heaters and such. But I don't know if anyone else is going to watch this video and is using Volkswagen ID.4s in daily business use. And when I say daily, I mean 7 days. These cars will sometimes make 2 trips across 3 counties in a day. Not both of them at the same time. It's pretty rare. But for us having 2 of them, they both have 30,000 miles on them. And we bought them in October of 2023, and I'm filming this in January of 2025. So they are 1.25 years old, and we've already put over 30,000 miles on each of them, and we really don't notice any battery degradation much. We do, when we quick charge or charge, we never go over 80%. The only time we go over 80 is when we're doing a long trip like this. Like this car has been charged to 100 3 times this week, but that's kind of rare. Now, as we acquire the new business in Farmington, that could go up. We will put a charging station in at that business, so we don't have to worry on the low availability of charging infrastructure in Farmington. But I'm just really to hear from someone else who puts a lot of rigorous miles on their cars, and you know, in cooler, you know, this is not North Dakota or Wisconsin or anything where it's, you know, sub-zero temperatures all the time. It warms up during the day and gets cold at night. The batteries are really cold when we start in the morning. But I just wanted to document this and kind of get feedback. I'm at 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour now. So now we're at 1.4. So yeah, it's getting better as I'm driving. It's also getting a little warmer as I'm getting. It's still 46, but that's better than when I left Farmington when it was 34, 35 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Yeah, just I'm really impressed with these cars for being an electric car, and us being so tough on them for business use and needing to rely on them to run our business. And so it's just, if you have similar or different experiences with these cars, please comment below and let me know, because I really want to dig into this more, because we're trying to see if this is viable for us as a business. All right, that's it. I'm going to finish my drive. I still got probably about an hour left. But glad to post something a little bit different, still a little businessy, but more on the technological EV side. Thanks, and bye-bye. Oh my gosh, you guys, I had to add a PS to this video, so I'm just going to tack it on to the end. I'm at 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour now. I'm going 60 miles an hour, and I've gone on interstate driving a lot, but it's usually not 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. This is driving me crazy. For a car that's approaching a year and a half old, electric car, and I'm going 60 up and down hills, you know, in mountainous terrain and high elevation, to be getting close to 4 miles per kilowatt hour when it's 42 degrees outside is crazy. And it makes me really wonder what was causing my big battery drop on the way north. Now I almost want to find a day that's going to be cold and windy from the northwest, wind from the northwest, mid 30s or lower, and just drive to Farmington to see what happens and only go 60 instead of 70. I will be floored if 10 miles an hour makes that much of a difference. I mean, yes, most people are passing me, but I've passed a couple of Ryder trucks, but it's not a slow speed that it's ruins the trip. I don't need to go 70, 60 is okay. So if 10 miles an hour makes that much of a difference, that's going to be just huge on how we think about driving these cars. Okay, so we'll see if it gets even better. I'll record another one, PPS, and tack it on. So let's see. Thanks. Okay, I said there would maybe be a PPS to this video, and there is. So I'm totally confused. Because there's also something I forgot to mention in the earlier 2 videos that I recorded. I'm now in Albuquerque. I still have more than a third of my battery left, 34%, 87 miles. I'm showing 4.0 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really high for me going 60. I did go 75 once I got to I-25, because in Albuquerque you'd probably lose your side mirrors if you went 60 on I-25. And then we hit a little traffic, and then I got off the interstate, so now I'm on the surface streets. But yes, 34%, 87 miles, 4 miles per kilowatt hour. If I add up my mileage, then I did 177 miles. I've got 87 left. That's 174 miles, which is what the car is supposed to be rated for in normal warmer temperatures and not highway speeds and climbing hills and elevation. And the thing I forgot to mention, check this out, I have 500 pounds of potatoes with me that I picked up at the Navajo Nation, the organic potatoes that we sell in our stores, which I did not have going the other way. So more weight. It's 43 degrees now. I can feel the cold starting to come in the car. So it's getting cooler. So it's still a bit warmer than it was going up. I don't know where the big discrepancy is. Now I really do want to just find a day that is cold with a headwind, going to Farmington, charge to 100% at the same charging station I did before, but only go 60 and see what the difference is. I can't imagine 10 miles an hour makes that much of a difference where the car is almost behaving normally in range. But maybe I'm missing something, but point it out to me. It says idiot on my profile for a reason, so maybe I'm missing something obvious. Maybe the headwind was so bad, because it was, you know, probably looking at the weather forecast, 20 to 30 miles an hour sometimes. But it's not constant, and you're not always headed directly into it because you're changing and going different directions, uphill, downhill. So it's not like it's constantly, but maybe there was just enough, me going 70 and the wind being around 20, that's more like 90 to the car, which would really take your battery down. But it didn't feel like it was struggling, and it didn't feel like the blue bar that we follow when it's accelerating was really pushing it to the other side. So I don't know. This is kind of a long video just about this one trip in the electric car, but it's one of those things that, you know, I hyper analyze, so I'm always like flummoxed by these things. So any tips or tricks or experience if you've had, leave them in the comments, and I probably will try to do some other trip if we can try to recreate some of the situation, but just change the miles per hour. All right, thanks, bye.